Good day everyone, Eli here, and for my first ever video, let's review Childish Gambino's Awaken My Love. Donald Glover, aka Childish Gambino, has pretty much become a household name at this point, especially with my generation and in nerd culture. The man has pretty much taken on every facet of the entertainment industry and knocked it out of the park, whether you saw him in his early days on YouTube with the sketch group Derek Comedy, or in his guest role on 30 Rock, a show which he also wrote for, or in his breakout role in Community as Troy Barnes. In fact, he's currently on a show on FX, which he directed, wrote, and stars in, called Atlanta, and though I have not personally seen it, I've heard nothing but great things about it, and I'm definitely planning on checking it out. That was first introduced to him back in 2014. I started watching Community, found out he did some music, I was like, why not, let's check it out. First album I listened to was Camp, and I loved that album. There are still quite a few tracks on that album I go back to. Excellent production, excellent lyrics, great album. I then moved on to Because the Internet, an album that blew me away the first time I heard it. I loved the story, again the production was fantastic, his lyrics, his songwriting, it amazed me. I still go back to that album, put it on, listen to it start to finish, and just get entranced by the story. Though I have never actually read the screenplay all the way through. That part kind of threw me off. Now to say this man is ambitious is, I think, an understatement. I mean, who writes a 75-page screenplay to accompany an album? Though I find, whenever he does try to do something new, he tends to do it really, really well. And over the top. Hence, you know, the screenplay. Now, when I found out that this was going to be an R&B soul album, that immediately piqued my interest. I mean, I was going to listen to it anyway because I am a fan, but Childish Gambino has not really gone down that lane before. He kind of started to shift towards the genre back in 2014 with his Stone Mountain mixtape, but he hadn't full-on dived headfirst into it. Until now. Now this kind of jazzy, funky, R&B and soul sound has kind of made a comeback in the past couple of years. With Kendrick Lamar's album, To Pimp a Butterfly, he took a lot of inspiration for the production on that album. You have people like Anderson .Paak, who just came out with the album Malibu. Thundercat, who has one of my favorite songs in the genre, Them Changes. If you haven't heard that, check it out. And even Charles Bradley, who I've yet to listen to the album, but the single from the album Changes, which is a cover of the Black Sabbath song Changes, is fucking incredible. Check it out. Well, again, I'm not an expert on the genre. The artists I've just mentioned all seem to be doing the sound an incredible amount of justice, Gambino included. It's not coming off as hokey or gimmicky. It's coming off as very genuine and an honest-to-God throwback that's done well. This album kicks it off right with Me and Your Mama, though I do find the intro to be a bit long. It is nice though, spacey, it's got chimes and strings floating through it. About a minute in it picks into this trap-flavored percussion that kind of picks it up a bit, because at that point I was kind of getting bored, but then the guitar hits. And man, the guitar wails on this track. It is fantastic. And Gambino comes in and he's wailing too, singing about his child's mama. Now, unbeknownst to people, apparently Gambino had a son. And a lot of this album is about that. And this song, particularly, is about the relationship with the mother. And it seems like at this point it's falling apart. And most people want to see it fall apart, from the way Gambino's talking. He does say on the chorus, with some excellent backing vocals, that he just wants this girl to let him into her heart. And on the bridge, he talks about how he's completely infatuated with her, and it isn't just puppy love, he's in love with this woman. Now, with the intro, we also get a fair-sized outro, which is also nice, though again a little long for my taste. And it's just some nice piano and percussion to fade out right into the next track. And the second track, Have Some Love, it had to take a bit to grow on me. I was not a huge fan of it the first couple listens, though I did end up thinking it was an okay track. I love the production on here again. The drums are awesome. There's a really funky bass line going through it. The chorus is my favorite part on this entire track. It reminds me of maybe like a powwow session or something. Maybe like a bunch of hippies sitting around a campfire clapping hands. It's got that kind of feel to it. It's like, have some love for one another, you know, that kind of thing. There are some acoustic guitar flourishes that come in later on the track that add to that whole campfire powwow session that I was talking about, and it gives the track a nice touch. Yeah, well, while the chorus and the production are great, like I stated, it's just the verse that really throws me off here. Gambino puts his voice through some sort of filter, and I am not a fan at all. He does this a few more times on the album, but here it got to me, though not as much as it gets to me on one of the later tracks. Alright, if this looks weird, it's because it's a day after I filmed the original review, and I just tossed out my entire Boogieman part and decided I'm going to do it again. Now, the next track on the album is Boogieman. And right away you get this awesome electric guitar driving forward, this percussion, and this nice funky bass line in the background. And immediately it's apparent what the song's going to be about with the opening line, "With the gun in your hand, I'm the boogeyman." Right before the verse hits, he hits you with this, "I'm gonna come and get you," which I probably just butchered, but whatever. I love the way it sounds on the album. It kind of made me laugh out loud first time I heard it. And right after that, he hits you with one of the most poignant lines I think he has on the entire album. He says, "If you point a gun at my rising sun, though we are not the ones, in the bowels of your mind we have done the crime." Which sounds to me like Gambino is addressing the current state of affairs in the United States when it comes to racism, and especially with the police, and the idea that because of his skin color, you have already decided in your head that he is the one committing a crime. The line about his son also made me think of a song also from this year by one of my favorite rappers, Open Mike Eagle. The song is called Smiling, a quirky race documentary. It's a far more lighthearted approach to the topic of racism, and it has quite a few funny lines in it. I highly recommend you check it out, but the line that I draw parallel to what Gambino said here is, Open Mike Eagle says, "I'm just trying to build a bridge for my goddamn kid, so the first time that his reputation is slid, it can actually be for something that he did." Which clearly highlights the fear Mike has that his son is going to be prejudged for his skin color over actually committing a crime. On par with the rest of the choruses so far on the album, this chorus is fantastic. It's kind of got a call and response feel to it, where the backing vocalists say, "Can you help us?" And Gambino replies, "Yes, I can." And I think it sounds great. The instrumentation kind of strips back a bit, the percussion slows right down, and the bass disappears, and it's just this guitar. And with the second verse, I believe he's referencing Barack Obama, because he says, "Every boy and girl around the world knows his friend's words, but if they're still scared of me, how can we be free?" Which is pretty much him saying, yeah, look, Obama has been president for quite a while now, and he's black, and that's fantastic, but there's still a lot of racial tension and fear in the United States. Another funky outro on here, we have this wailing guitar solo that leads us right out of this track and right into the next one. And this track is pretty much about money-hungry zombies. People who just drone through life just to get money and only care about themselves, and they're gonna eat up Gambino and other creative people for profit. One of my favorite parts on this track is the fact that the zombies have a line right before the actual chorus. And they go, "We're coming out to get you. We're oh so glad we met you. We're eating you for profit. There is no way to stop it." And I just thought that was hilarious the first time I heard it. I laughed out loud, walking home, -25 weather, people in scarves looking at me funny. But you know, again, like a majority of the songs on this album, excellent chorus. Gambino talking about how there is no place to hide from the aforementioned zombies. There are a lot of great musical moments on here. Flourish of piano. We have super spacey synths darting in and out every once in a while. And the end of the track has this excellent wailing kind of wah-wah guitar solo on it. Next we have the shortest track on the album, though also the craziest, and that's Riot. It's loud, it kind of pretty much hits you all at once. Bass, drums, guitar. Gambino's wailing yet again on here. Next we have Redbone, which is one of my favorite moments on. Now Redbone has some awesome funky synths on it, excellent funky bass, and man, again, excellent chorus. Jesus Christ, the choruses on this album, what the fuck, man? Next is California, and this one's a little difficult. Now, when I first heard this, I was walking home from work. It was minus 25, and I was about 30 minutes into my walk, and then this came on. And believe me or not, the groove on it, because it reminds me of it has that California reggae kind of feel, it actually warmed me up a bit. And I do, again, love the production on here. I love the reggae groove on here. It's just, I can't stand Gambino's vocals on this track. What were you thinking? Jeez, dude, like, this song would be so good if you didn't... You want to move to California? Fucking left their mind. That's my best interpretation. I probably sound 80 times worse, but my point is, it's that, but with auto-tune. And it is not fun, and the groove is so nice too. Man, this song let me down. It was easily my least favorite track on the entire album. But of course, after the worst comes the best. My favorite track on the entire album, Terrified. Oh, I love this song. I hadn't even listened to the album yet. It came on shuffle on my iPod, and I was like, what the fuck is this? I looked, and I just kept playing it on repeat. I could not get enough. I love this song. I love the way it comes in. It's got this really nice, almost stand-up bass. It may have the sparsest instrumental on the album, but it is still my favorite. The percussion is very stripped back this time around. It's kind of more just snaps until later on into the song, but it's got this really nice bass line that just flows really well. There's guitar and synths in the background. The guitar just kind of weaves in and out. It's not leading the track or as aggressive as it is on the rest of the album. The vocals on here are the closest to his normal register that he's gotten so far, and it sounds fantastic. There's a somewhat corny line on here where after he says he's going to eat you alive, he says, "Don't find me rude, but I don't eat fast food, so don't run," which I laughed at. It's corny, but I like it. There's really only one verse on this. Then it goes into the chorus, and man, the chorus is great. Again, he's kind of wailing on it, but now, being my favorite track, it also has my favorite chorus on the album. It just sounds so good to me. There's this hit of electric guitar. It really picks up on the chorus. And man, the moment right after the chorus is probably my favorite moment on the entire album. This xylophone comes in, and then the guitar mimics the xylophone. And you know what? I don't think I can even explain it to do it justice here. I'm going to play it for you, because I love it so much. After the chorus here, it gets sort of repetitive. It's just a refrain of, I'm spinning, I'm spinning, I'm spinning you out, until it gets to the chorus again. But after that chorus, the instrumentation cuts back to just organ and very, very light percussion, and then this voice comes in. And the first time I heard it, it blew me away. I was like, what the fuck? Who is this? She comes in screaming, no, 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 please no, and oh man, it took me back. I had to look it up. I was so amazed. At first I thought it was Janae Aiko because they do so much together, but it turns out it's a 9-year-old girl named JD McCrary, and she brings this whole song home for me. After that part, the instrumentation cuts back even more to just organ, but just like repeated organ. 2 seconds of it is a loop. JD comes back, and in a much lower register, eerily goes, "You can't run from me." It cuts right into the next song. But man, I replay that part so many times. I've showed it to my friends at work. I've been like, guess how old this chick is? And it blows all of their minds. So fucking good. The next track we have on here is Baby Boy, which is the most emotionally raw and vulnerable moment that Childish Gambino has on this entire album, because it's talking about the fear of his son being taken away. The guitar on here is really weird and sounds kind of filtered. Though I still do love the beat on here, it's not what gets to me, it's the vocals that do. The lyrics, I should say. The vocals are again kind of weird and filtered like he has done for a majority of the album, but it's bearable on here, not like California. First verse, he seems to be talking to his son, and how he never wanted to lie or deceive his son or his family. Second verse, he's directly speaking to the mother, and he says, "We were never meant to be together. We both knew this. But if you ever see me with another woman and she knows your son, please, please don't take him away. Please." Again, the production on here, while great, doesn't seem to be the main focus, at least for me. But it is still good. The guitar is weirdly filtered, but there are some great organs, especially on the outro. The next track is The Night Me and Your Mama Met, and it's a bit of a little instrumental piece. It's got some electric guitar, some what sounds like ukulele, and it's almost kind of like a ballad, but it's completely instrumental, and really isn't that exciting compared to the rest of the album, which has both the instrumental and the lyrics. So I kind of zone out when it comes on, unfortunately. Now the final track on this album is called Stand Tall, and man is it a trip. It starts out with this nice wobbly electric guitar, and Gambino's vocals come in, and he's the closest to his lower register than he is on the rest of the album, which makes it my favorite vocal performance. And he's singing about when he was a child and when his dad told him back in '92, keep all your dreams, keep standing tall. And the second verse, still with the electric wobbly guitar by the way, is a little less upbeat, for he talks about how he used to walk so tall and free but now broken souls are all he sees. And then it gets weird. It cuts back to this woodwind instrumental, like it sounds like pan flutes or something. And then Gambino's voice is all auto-tuned. And then all of a sudden, right after these really heavy, spacey synths, you get this almost video game quality synth line that sounds like it would come right off of the Undertale soundtrack. And it kind of threw me for a loop. I wasn't expecting it at all. And then there's acoustic guitar and clapping, and Gambino singing again. The chorus still meanders in and out throughout this entire movement, but it's like, I feel like if you took drugs and then listened to this song, it would be one whole trip in itself. At least that's the impression it gave me. There's so many different weird musical moments on it. It's really actually quite cool. You know what? I think I've talked at length about this album enough. Maybe not enough. I think my final verdict for this album, to start off my review system, would be a solid 7 out of 10. It was a great effort and a great album. May not be in my top 10, but I still recommend it if you're a Gambino fan or if you're an R&B soul fan. Unless you're looking for straight rap Gambino, then it will not be up your alley. And thus concludes my first review. Thank you very much for watching, considering it's my first. I'm not, don't have much of a career lined out so far, so I appreciate it if you stumbled upon this and decided to stay. If you would like to leave a comment telling me how well I did or anything I can improve on, please, by all means, do. I'm just learning. And thank you very much. See you next time.